The security guard held my daughter while Richard changed the locks. 3:47 p.m. Tuesday. Our brownstone on East 73rd Street. His brownstone, according to the papers his attorney just served me. Mommy. Lily's voice was small. She pressed against the guard's legs, her frozen backpack, the one I'd packed with her medications, clutched in her tiny hands. Why is Daddy locking the door? I knelt on the sidewalk, my thrift store jeans soaking up spring rain. It's okay, baby. We're going somewhere new. Richard appeared in the doorway. Armani suit. Rolex catching the light. Behind him, Victoria, 26, model turned influencer, wearing my silk robe, draped herself against the doorframe. Don't make a scene, Amanda. Richard's voice carried that boardroom authority. The court order is clear. This is my property. You have no right to be here. She has nowhere to go. The security guard said quietly. And the kid is sick. I can see it. Not my problem. Victoria's laugh was crystalline. Maybe she should have thought of that before she tried to trap a wealthy man with a defective child. The words hum in the wet air. Lily started coughing. That terrible, wet sound that meant her lungs were filling again. Her lips had a blue tinge. She needs her nebulizer, I said. It's inside. 5 minutes. Please. Should have grabbed it before you left. Richard checked his watch. I have a 5 o'clock at the club. Victoria, let's go. Wait. I stood. The medication. At least give me, buy more. He stepped back inside. You're a nurse, right? I'm sure you can afford it on your salary. The door closed. The deadbolt clicked. Lily's coughing worsened. I dug through her backpack with shaking hands. The nebulizer was there, but the medication, the expensive medication her pulmonologist prescribed for her chronic condition, was inside. In our bathroom. In the house I could no longer enter. Ma'am. The security guard, his name tag said Williams, looked uncomfortable. I'm supposed to make sure you leave the premises. I know. I pulled out my phone. Just give me 2 minutes. I called the pharmacy. 20-minute wait. $300 I didn't have in my checking account. I called my supervisor at Mount Sinai. She'd given me so many advances already. Lily's breathing turned to wheezing. Mommy. I can't. Her small hand clutched her chest. That's when I made the call I'd sworn I'd never make. My mother answered on the first ring. Amanda. I need help. Silence. Then, where are you? I gave her the address. My voice broke on the street number. Don't move. I'm sending the car. Her tone shifted, sharpened. No. I'm coming myself. 20 minutes. Mom, 20 minutes. Keep Lily calm. I'm bringing Dr. Chun. The line went dead. Williams was watching me with something like pity. Your ex seems like a real piece of work. He wasn't always. I pulled Lily into my lap. Once upon a time, he was different. But let me take you back. 3 years earlier. When everything was still golden. 3 years earlier Richard proposed at 11 Madison Park. The ring was platinum, 2 carats, princess cut. The entire restaurant erupted in applause. You're everything I never knew I needed, he whispered. My perfect, humble, beautiful girl. I was a cardiac nurse at Mount Sinai. He was a hedge fund manager. We'd met when his father coded in my ICU. I was the one who brought him back, performed chest compressions for 11 minutes straight while the team scrambled. You saved his life, Richard had said, holding my hand in the waiting room afterward. How do I thank you for that? Just be with him. That's all that matters. He looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. You really mean that? We dated for 8 months. He loved that I was real, that I worked double shifts, volunteered at free clinics, wore scrubs more often than dresses. He called me his diamond in the rough. I should have heard the warning in those words. The wedding was at the plaza. 400 guests. I invited 12 people. My mother didn't come. We'd been estranged since I left home at 22, determined to make it on my own, to build something that wasn't handed to me. She's probably jealous, Richard said. You're marrying up. Some people can't handle that. I didn't correct him. Didn't tell him my mother had simply said, when you're ready to stop running from who you are, call me. Lily was born 10 months later. Perfect and pink in mine. Then came the diagnosis at 6 months. Chronic lung disease, compromised immune system, expensive medication for life. This is going to cost a fortune, Richard said in the pediatrician's office. I mean, we'll manage, but Jesus, Amanda. Did you have health problems as a kid? Is this genetic? I was healthy. The lie tasted familiar. Just bad luck. Richard changed after that. Small comments at first. Maybe if you'd eaten better during pregnancy. Then larger ones. My mother says we should consider long-term care facilities. Give us our lives back. She's 2 years old. She's expensive. And exhausting. Victoria says, who's Victoria? A colleague. She just thinks we should prioritize our marriage. That was 6 months ago. The affair started 3 months ago. I found out when Victoria posted Instagram photos from a romantic weekend in the Hamptons, in the beach house Richard said he'd sold. You're overreacting, he said when I confronted him. Victoria understands me, understands what I need. You're always exhausted, always focused on Lily. When do I matter? When did you stop mattering to me? He couldn't answer. The divorce papers came last week. The eviction notice today. Which brings us back to this moment. To Lily wheezing in my arms, Richard inside with his mistress, and me on the sidewalk with nothing but a backpack and a phone call to a mother I haven't spoken to in 3 years. Williams checked his watch. Ma'am, I really need you to. The sound came first. Low, powerful, growing louder. Then we saw it. A black Maybach pulled up to the curb. Behind it, an ambulance, private, unmarked, clearly medical. My mother stepped out of the Maybach. Elizabeth Chimloron, 72. Silver hair in a perfect chignon. Hermes scarf. Presence like a knife. Behind her, Dr. Chun, my cousin, one of the country's top pediatric pulmonologists, emerged carrying a medical bag. Amanda. My mother's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. Where's my granddaughter? Dr. Chun had Lily stabilized in 90 seconds. The nebulizer from his bag was hospital grade. The medication the same one that cost me $300 at CVS. He worked with practiced efficiency while my mother stood like a sentinel between us and the brownstone. Her oxygen saturation is low, Dr. Chun said quietly. Amanda, how long has she been without treatment? 4 hours. Richard locked us out. The medication's inside. My mother's expression didn't change, but something in the air shifted, crystallized into ice. Mrs. Loran? Williams looked confused. I'm going to need to ask you to, William Chin Williams. My mother turned to him. You have 3 children, twin boys, 12, a daughter, 8. Your wife teaches at PS 234. You coach Little League on Saturdays. He went pale. How do you? Your employer is Sentinel Security. My company owns Sentinel Security. You're a good man, William. I've read your file, so I'm going to give you a choice. She gestured to the brownstone. You can keep following Richard Thornton's orders, or you can walk away now, and tomorrow you'll start as head of security at Mount Sinai Hospital. Salary doubles. Full benefits. Your daughter needs orthodontics. I saw that in your health claims. We'll cover it. The silence stretched. I'll just. William stepped back. I didn't see anything. Ma'am. He walked away. My mother pulled out her phone. Margaret, I need you to execute Loran Protocol 7. Yes. The brownstone on East 73rd. I'm sending you the address now. She paused. Maximum pressure. I want them gone by tonight. She hung up. Looked at me. I've missed 3 years of Lily's life because you were too proud to ask for help. We're fixing that now. Mom, after we deal with him. She walked up the brownstone steps. Pressed the doorbell with one manicured finger. Richard opened the door. His smile faded when he saw my mother. Mrs. Loran. I didn't know. Amanda, you didn't mention. Mention what? Victoria appeared beside him. Who's the old lady? My mother smiled. It was terrifying. Elizabeth Chimloron. Amanda's mother. I believe you've been living in my property. You're. Richard's face went white. This is my house. I bought it. I have the deed. Do you? My mother pulled out her phone, scrolled, turned it to show him. This is the deed. See the owner's name? Loran Holdings LLC. See the mortgage holder? Chimloron Private Bank. You've been paying me rent for 3 years, Richard. Through enough shell companies that you never noticed. I stared. What? I've been keeping tabs. My mother didn't look at me. Did you think I'd let you vanish completely? You're my daughter. My only child. I knew where you lived, where you worked, who you married. Her voice hardened. I knew when this man started hurting you. I was waiting for you to call. Richard found his voice. You can't just. There are laws, tenant rights. You're not a tenant. According to your lease, which he signed without reading carefully, you're a caretaker. Caretakers can be dismissed with cause. Clause 47B, moral turpitude. Adultery, abandonment of a dependent minor, reckless endangerment. She glanced at Lily, now breathing easier in the ambulance. You've hit all 3. This is insane. Victoria grabbed Richard's arm. Call your lawyer. Your father's lawyer. Someone. His father. My mother's smile returned. James Thornton. Currently recovering from cardiac arrest 3 years ago. At Mount Sinai, where my daughter saved his life. Where my family has been primary donors for 30 years. Where the cardiology wing is named after my late husband. Richard stumbled back. No. You said, Amanda, you told me you were nobody. A nurse. Nothing special. I never said that. I stood up slowly, Lily's hand in mine. You assumed it. Because I wore scrubs. Because I worked night shifts. Because I didn't throw money around like it made me important. You lied. I omitted. Like you omitted having a mistress. Like you omitted draining our joint account. Like you omitted telling the divorce court that Lily's medication costs $20,000 a month. I pulled out my phone, showing him my lawyer's email. But unlike you, I can afford good attorneys. The kind who notice when husbands hide assets. My mother nodded to the street. 2 more cars had arrived. One carried my attorney, Margaret Shun, my aunt, senior partner at Shun and Associates. The other held someone I didn't recognize. That's the building inspector, my mother said conversationally. Funny thing about this brownstone. It has several code violations. Gas leak potential. Faulty wiring. Structural concerns. I'm afraid it's being condemned. Effective immediately. You have 2 hours to collect your belongings. You can't. I can. I own it. And Richard. She stepped closer. Your hedge fund. Thornton Capital Management. Your biggest investor is the Loron Family Trust. We own 43%. Tomorrow morning, the trust is pulling out. All of it. $600 million. Richard's face went gray. That will collapse the fund. Yes. My clients will sue. I'll lose everything. Yes. Victoria grabbed her purse from inside. I'm out. I didn't sign up for this. She pushed past Richard. You said you were rich. You said you were powerful. You're nothing. She ran to a waiting Uber, designer heels clicking on wet pavement. Richard turned to me. Amanda, please. We can work this out. I made mistakes, but you put my daughter on the street. My voice was quiet. In the rain, while she couldn't breathe. You called her defective. I didn't mean, you meant every word. I walked down the steps, Lily secure in Dr. Chen's arms. I spent 3 years trying to be enough for you. Working doubles to pay for Lily's medication while you spent money on Victoria. Pretending I didn't see the contempt in your eyes every time you looked at our daughter. I love Lily. You love the idea of having a perfect child. But she's not perfect. She's real. And you couldn't handle real. My mother's phone rang. She answered, listened, smiled. Excellent. Send them in. Movers emerged from a truck I hadn't noticed. Professional. Efficient. They entered the brownstone and began removing Richard's belongings. What are they doing? Richard tried to push past. Those are my things, being placed in storage. You'll receive the address. My mother checked her watch. You have nowhere to go. No home. No job by morning. No mistress. Your father will be disappointed. Though not surprised, I spoke with him this morning. He's known about Victoria for months. He's actually rather fond of Amanda. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. My mother turned away. Amanda, the jet is waiting at Teterboro. We're taking Lily to Johns Hopkins. Dr. Mitchell has been briefed. She's the country's top specialist in pediatric pulmonology. The jet? I blinked. Mom, I can't afford, it's yours. Happy belated birthday. I bought it last year when I realized you might eventually come to your senses. She softened. Baby girl, you've been playing poor for 3 years. It's time to stop. Dr. Chun carried Lily to the Maybach. My mother guided me to follow. Behind us, Richard stood in the rain, watching movers empty his life into boxes. Amanda. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I paused. Look back. I know you are. But sorry doesn't give my daughter her health. It doesn't erase calling her defective. It doesn't fix the 3 years I spent making myself smaller so you could feel bigger. I loved you. You loved the idea of me. The grateful nurse who'd worship you for rescuing her from her humble life. I smiled sadly. The joke is, you never rescued me. I was never drowning. I was just visiting your world, trying to see if it was worth staying in. I climbed into the Maybach. Through the window, I watched Richard collapse on the brownstone steps. Did you really buy a jet? I asked my mother. Gulfstream G650. You're named on the registration. Also the apartment in Tribeca, the house in the Hamptons, the real one, not Richard's. Rental, and controlling shares in the hospital foundation. She took my hand. I never cut you off, Amanda. You cut yourself off. But I never stopped preparing for the day you'd come home. The jet was absurd. Cream leather seats. Full medical suite in the back where Dr. Chun had Lily hooked up to monitors. She was sleeping now. Oxygen levels normal, color returning to her cheeks. She'll be fine, Dr. Chin said quietly. But Amanda, she needs consistent care. World-class care. I know. I sat beside Lily's bed, holding her small hand. I've been rationing her medication, skipping doses when I thought she could handle it. The insurance through Mount Sinai only covers 80%. You should have called me. My mother appeared with tea, jasmine, the kind she always made when I was little. Pride is expensive, darling. Sometimes it costs more than money. I sipped the tea. It tasted like childhood, like the life I'd run from. Why did you let me go? I asked. 3 years. You knew where I was. You could have, you needed to learn. She sat across from me. That privilege isn't shameful. That money is a tool, not a trap. That you can be wealthy and still be yourself. She paused. You were so angry when your father died. Angry at the cancer, the hospitals, the fact that all our money couldn't save him. You said wealth was meaningless if it couldn't prevent loss. I remember. So you became a nurse. Saved lives with your hands, not a checkbook. Built something that was yours, not inherited. She smiled. I was proud. Even when you stopped calling. Even when you married that little man who thought he was marrying up. You knew about Richard? I ran a full background check when he proposed. Hedge fund manager. Old money pretensions, new money debts. Narcissistic personality markers. Likely to stray. She sipped her own tea. I almost intervened. Then I thought, maybe he'll surprise me. Maybe love will make him better. It didn't. Love doesn't fix broken people, darling. It just reveals what's already there. We flew in silence for a while. Below, the eastern seaboard stretched like a circuit board, lights connecting cities in glowing lines. What happens now? I asked. To Richard, his fund will collapse by noon tomorrow. His investors are already getting calls from their advisors, our advisors, suggesting they pull out. By tomorrow afternoon, Thornton Capital Management will be history. And him, bankrupt by month's end. His father is refusing to help. James called me personally to apologize for his son's behavior. Apparently Richard has been a disappointment for years. She set down her tea. The brownstone will be sold. Proceeds going to a fund for Lily's medical care. Richard will be lucky to afford a studio in Queens. Good. The word surprised me with its force. You're angry. I'm furious. I looked at Lily. He threw us away. Like we were garbage. Like she was defective merchandise he wanted to return. Then let him suffer. My mother's voice went cold. I've destroyed men for less. But Amanda, revenge isn't why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because you're my daughter. Because Lily is my granddaughter. Because family protects family. The pilot announced our descent into Baltimore. Johns Hopkins was lit up like a palace. Dr. Mitchell met us on the tarmac, a personal touch that spoke to my mother's influence. Mrs. Loran. Amanda. She shook our hands. I've reviewed Lily's charts. We can help her. It'll take time, specialized treatment, possibly surgery. But this condition is manageable. Cost? I asked out of habit. Irrelevant. My mother cut in. Do whatever she needs. 3 months later, Lily was thriving. The treatment worked. The surgery was successful. She was breathing easy for the first time in her life. I stood in my new office at Mount Sinai, not as a staff nurse, but as director of pediatric care. My mother had funded an entire wing. I designed the programs, hired the staff, built something that would help children like Lily. Dr. Thornton? My assistant poked her head in. Your 3 o'clock is here. James Thornton. Richard's father. I'd been dreading this. He entered slowly, older than I remembered. Amanda, thank you for seeing me. Mr. Thornton. James, please. He sat. I came to apologize. For Richard. For not raising him better. For not stopping him when I saw what he was becoming. You couldn't have stopped him. No, but I could have warned you. He pulled out an envelope. This is for Lily. A trust fund. $5 million. Not from Richard, for me. For her education, her future, whatever she needs. You don't have to, I do. She's my granddaughter. And you saved my life. He stood. I know Richard is struggling. I know your mother destroyed his career. He deserved it. But Amanda, he asks about Lily. Every time I visit him in that terrible apartment, he can barely afford. He asks if she's okay. She's perfect. Good. He moved to the door. For what it's worth, I told him he was a fool. You were the best thing that ever happened to him. He traded gold for glitter. After he left, I opened the envelope. Inside, a check and a photo. Richard, much younger, holding newborn Lily. His face was soft with wonder. I put the photo in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd show Lily. Maybe not. 6 months after that, I was at the hospital when security called. Dr. Thornton? There's a Richard Thornton in the lobby. He's asking to see you. My heart lurched. Tell him. He says it's about Lily. He just wants to know she's okay. I went down. He stood by the windows, wearing a Target polo and khakis. His face was gaunt. His watch was a Timex. Amanda. His voice was rough. I know I have no right. But I heard about the surgery. She's perfect. Healthy. Happy. Relief flooded his face. Thank God. We stood in awkward silence. I'm working at a clinic in the Bronx, he said finally. Administration. Filing mostly. It's humbling. He laughed, but it was broken. Everything is humbling now. But it's teaching me things I should have learned years ago. Like what? That money doesn't make you worth more. That people aren't assets to manage. That love isn't something you win. It's something you nurture. He looked at me. I failed at that. Failed you. Failed Lily. Failed myself. Yes. I didn't soften it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I see it now. What I had. What I destroyed. He turned to leave. Tell Lily her father is sorry. When she's old enough to understand. Richard. He stopped. Lily has a new pediatrician. Dr. Mitchell at Hopkins. But she still asks about you sometimes. Not the you who threw us out. The you who used to read her bedtime stories. His eyes filled. I did love that. I'm not saying come back into our lives. But if you want supervised visits. If you want to rebuild something. If you can prove you're not that man anymore. I paused. Talk to your father. He's been helping arrange this. Because everyone deserves a chance to be better. I don't deserve, no, you don't. But Lily deserves a father who tries. Who learns. Who earns his way back. I headed to the elevator. Earn it, Richard. Show me the man you could have been all along. 1 year later, I married again. Not Richard, someone I met at a medical conference. Someone humble and kind. Someone who saw my wealth and shrugged, more impressed by my work. Lily was our flower girl. Healthy. Radiant. Perfect. Richard was not invited. But he sent a gift. A handmade card with a drawing of Lily. His art was clumsy but earnest. Inside, just 4 words. I'm trying. Love, Dad. He was trying. Therapy. Consistent visits. Small steps toward being someone worthy of his daughter's love. My mother sat in the front row, crying happy tears. Beside her, Dr. Chun and Margaret and William, our strange assembled family. You did it, my mother whispered at the reception. Build something real. On your terms. I did. I watched Lily dance, breathless with joy and health. I stopped running from who I am. Stopped thinking strength meant going it alone. And Richard, he's learning the same lesson. I raised my glass to the room, to my new husband, my daughter, my impossible mother, my chosen family. That being humble isn't about being small. It's about being honest. And sometimes the greatest wealth is knowing when to ask for help. My mother clinked her glass against mine. To coming home. To being home, I corrected. Because home was never the money. It was knowing I didn't have to earn love by pretending to be less than I am. Outside, my private jet waited. But tonight, we'd stay here. Dancing. Celebrating. Living the life I'd built. Not inherited. But earned through years of trying to prove I didn't need it. The joke was, I never needed the money. I just needed to stop being afraid of it. Richard lost everything by thinking wealth made him powerful. I found everything by learning that power was never about money at all. It was about knowing your worth. And never letting anyone convince you to forget it.